Mr. L live and that boy leveled. Boy leveled. Boy leveled. Mr. L live and that boy leveled. Boy leveled. Boy leveled. Mr. L live. Mr. L live and that Mr. L live and that boy leveled. Boy leveled. Boy leveled. Mr. L live and that boy leveled. Boy leveled. Boy leveled.
What it do? What's up, people? It's your boy LeveledHead back with another live and LEVED Gamers Podcast. This is part 2. I'm doing it solo. My boy Live is not here, so we're going to keep this thing rolling. First of all, I want to send a shout out to John Shaw. We tried to record this last night and had some technical difficulties, but we back nonetheless. We back with the one and only Triforce Johnson. What's up?
Hey guys, I'm back. We running this back on a part 2. We're gonna get it right this time.
So we back to finish what we started, so to speak. We started this conversation last week on the Live and LEVED Gamers Podcast. Me, Triforce, and Mr. L Live 08 talking about Nintendo E3 and what's going on behind the scenes with some other situations. Triforce wanted to come back and go into more depth. Now that the article that he said we need to wait to be, I guess, uploaded onto Nintendo Life. Shout out to Nintendo Life. Now that article is out for all the masses to read and take in and dissect, so to speak, we can talk. So we back to do so we're going to take our time. We're not going to be all night tonight, but we're going to take our time and let Triforce do what he do. You know what I'm saying? Break it down. So let's get it in. Last week we ended on the note of Nintendo and the Smash Bros. Invitational and what this is really saying and what is really happening behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. Knowing that you are founder of Empire Arcadia, esports competitive group of individuals. You know a little bit more than I, so I'm going to regress and let you step up to the plate and knock this ball out the park. So what's going on? What's really going on with Smash Brothers and the Invitational and Nintendo and esports and the Nintendo Life article and all that is competitive gaming? What's going on?
Okay. Well, this is going to be a very special episode that you have because we're going to focus outside of the whole, industry thing. We're going to look at a different aspect of the gaming industry, which is called competitive gaming. That's the umbrella name for it, which it's now known as esports. And the topic here, now that the article on Nintendo Life is out, and it'll be in the podcast right there. We'll have the link for you guys there that you can click and check out the article for yourself. But this is about Nintendo's potentially re-entering the competitive gaming world, also known as esports. And I'm the founder of a development company, which we have an esports team in, because Empire Arcadia is like a development organization for competitive gaming. But there are also other aspects to it, fashion, art, media, music, and other areas where we try to help develop different markets for gaming. But everyone knows about our esports team. We've been around for 10 plus years. We play in a different, a wide range of different genres for competitive games, from classic games in the arcade scene to fighters to RTS. We're even getting into MOBA. We've done trading cards, racing, and so forth. And what makes this particular episode special is that Smash Brothers may play a significant role in the future for competitive gaming. And we need to take a step back to find out how did we get to this point, and for Smash Brothers, the new Smash Brothers specifically, and see what made us believe that there's a potential chance for Nintendo to come back into Smash Brothers into competitive gaming using Smash Brothers. And it all started last year when Evolution, the fighting game community, hosted they have a yearly world championships called Evolution, and they had a roster of games that was already selected, and they wanted to somehow get the community involved and engage in something where they can interact with the selection of their last game. And they did a breast cancer charity. The community that rose the most money would get the final spot, and Smash Brothers rose over $90,000 for breast cancer. Between all of the communities combined, they rose almost $250,000. I think it was $250,000 or very close, but it was definitely 220 something K for Breast Cancer Society. And that they had the game. Smash Brothers made the list. And unfortunately, the people at Evolution, I don't think contacted Nintendo about this. Not initially, but as they closed in for Evo, they contacted Nintendo, which was kind of late. And Nintendo is now, trying to find out, like, okay, you are going to contact us so short of a period of time, and you want us to allow you to broadcast our game via Twitch TV. And Nintendo said no. They didn't have enough information or enough time to assess the situation before they could just allow the intellectual property out like that. That then created a huge storm in the community. And everyone started panicking. There was different articles all popping out of everywhere. IGN, Kotaku, everyone was up in arms. And Twitter was world trending that day. And a bunch of people hit me up, and some people know about my close relationship with Nintendo, and it was like, Triforce, call Nintendo and tell them to change it. I was like, what? Like, I can't just call Nintendo and tell them to change it, but I did understand what they were trying to say. They wanted me to use whatever influence I could to help make Nintendo change their mind. And I wasn't the only one. Be honest with you, different communities got involved. Kotaku was definitely instrumental, because they made it a big thing on their website. They interviewed me. They interviewed a guy called Alex Jabeli. He runs a big tournament in Florida called CEO, and they have a huge Smash Brothers community down there. Even he got in on it, and we gave our recommendations about what Nintendo should do. And pretty much Nintendo gathered all the information from the community. We had some private talks about what should be done, and after Nintendo assessed the situation, got all their information, boom, Nintendo reversed their decision and allowed Smash Brothers to be played in Evo. Shortly after that, well, actually a little bit before that, I had interviewed Reggie, and a little bit after E3 about what his thoughts were in competitive gaming. It was a piece that we were supposed to be doing for the St. Martin Tourist Board in the Caribbean for education in gaming. And one of the questions there I snuck in was about Nintendo's position in competitive gaming as a whole. And Reggie had answered that, and he pretty much, long story short, he stated that Nintendo has always been a part of competitive gaming. They haven't changed that. And they've hosted a different array of different competitions throughout their time, throughout the different systems, starting back from Nintendo 1990 championships till now. So they've always been involved, but they haven't been involved at the level where competitive gaming is now, like in terms of esports. And that pretty much set up a prelude to something else later on in 2013. So in October 28th, there was a huge event called the I'm with Reggie event, where Nintendo, once again engaging with the community, contacted several gamers in the community to come down to Nintendo World and spend the night with Reggie playing video games, that was cool. That was very godlike that Nintendo would even do that. And it wasn't just New York. They did a couple of other cities as well. But obviously I want to remember New York because I was there and they invited me. And I asked Reggie about his thoughts on esports, competitive gaming. And Reggie was like, he was like, Well, you know something, the last time we did something major like that was like the Nintendo World Championships. And then he was like, if we did bring back the Nintendo World Championships, what games would you think we should play? And everybody, myself and the other, fans in the store that was there with him, we were all talking about the different games. Obviously, Smash Brothers was one of the main games. It was like the number one game everyone kept saying. And then, I said, Reggie, you should ask that to people on Twitter and get their take on it rather than just the few of us that was in the store with him. So he posted a question on Twitter, and lo and behold, it was a whole bunch of Smash Brothers and Mario Kart, believe it or not. And it got a lot of good responses within that short time that they put out that question. And I said, you see, everyone loves this. This is what everyone would like to see Nintendo get involved in. And then I said, so what you think? And he's like, we'll look into it. That's all he said. And I was like, okay. And then now here we are in 2014, and at E3, the biggest stage for video games, like literally, it is the greatest stage for video games in the world, is hosting its Smash Brothers Invitational. And I want people to understand that this may not just be some one shot thing that Nintendo say, hey, let's just try this. This may be a prelude to the Nintendo World Championships. This may be a prelude for Nintendo to return to esports in a big way. So that when you look at that timeline and how they set everything up, you're like, competitive gaming may go to another place. And what better game other than Smash Brothers for the Nintendo to return to competitive gaming? And this will definitely help push the Wii U. Okay. Definitely.
Well, let me ask you this, and this was a question John Shaw asked last night. Mm-hmm. Why did Nintendo step out of competitive gaming? Why did they stop doing the competition they used to hold, what you just referred to that Reggie brought up? Why did they stop all that?
Well, to answer that question directly, and then we can kind of like go in depth, behind the scenes of like where it all started. Nintendo is a video game company. They create video games. I don't think competition is their priority or their focus. I think their focus have always been and always will be, when you look at it today, in creating games for everybody, the whole family. The dad, the mom, the son, the daughter, and possibly even the dog. So, the pet. I mean, I discriminate against the cats, but like you get the point. They want to make video games for everybody, and competition, it goes in the category of hardcore, and Nintendo needs to make games for everyone. So it wouldn't be fair to focus on just one hardcore market. Back then, in the late 80s, early 90s, that was probably a marketing strategy to tap into that market, to get people to recognize the games rather than spending $1 million on a commercial. Hey, let's host a tournament, which would get us word of mouth that everyone can talk about our experience, because they can interact, they can engage in with the video games rather than you just watching a commercial. And it worked back then for the most part. Why they stopped, I think that once they reached their goal was just to get everyone to engage and like it, then there was no need for it anymore. And this is purely my speculation. This is not the facts. This is my opinion as to why they stopped. But, a lot of people have to understand that esports, and they have to understand that there's no difference between competitive gaming and esports. It is the same thing. We called it competitive gaming back then. We call it esports today. The esports is just an easier term, a more comfortable, hip, accepted, trendy word that we use to just say competitive gaming. It's the same thing. It simply means electronic competition. But when you say competition, it's such a long word. So if you say e-sports, electronic sports, it just rolls better. And esports is older than what a lot of people think. A lot of people think when they look at esports today and they see esports on TV, esports in stadiums and stuff like that this is the first time it's ever happened, and it's not. I'm old enough, I've witnessed the origins of esports to where it is now, and everything that's being done now was already done then. In the early 80s when Twin Galaxies started, and they created the competition for competitive gaming, they teamed up with ABC, the TV station ABC, and they had a qualifier in their arcade. Hundreds of gamers around the world flew out, Switzerland, Australia, Japan, everyone from America. They all flew in to compete in arcades to qualify for That's Incredible's World Championships. See, and which was televised, was broadcasted on TV. A World Championship for video games in which Ben Gold was the first, I guess you would say commercial, because video game competitions come, earlier than that, obviously. But this was the first organized video game competition in a structured, infrastructure known as competitive gaming, which we call esports today. But that's pretty much where it started. I mean, there was competitions in the community, yes, back then, before that, even like in the 1970s and stuff like that. But this is where it all started, because That's Incredible kind of put it on the map when they broadcasted it on television. Later on in that decade, late 80s, I mean really late 80s, like 1989, early 90s, Nintendo came out with the Nintendo World Championships. And they had qualifiers everywhere. I remember there was a huge state qualifier in Madison Square Garden. The World Championships, took place in there was one of the World Championships was in Florida, and the other one was in New York. But like they had one at the Epcot Center, like, which you like, what? They really did? Yeah, Google it. Type in Nintendo World Championships and type in Florida and New York. Pops up, and you'd be like, wow. And these things were televised. Good Morning America followed it. Yeah, Good Morning America. But we wouldn't really remember that, because a lot of the competitors today are really born over the last 15 to 20 years. So they missed the other 15 years before that. And then you move into the mid 90s, and that's when you had like the PC LAN competitions, Quake and Unreal, and they used to have those, LAN qualifiers there's the auditoriums and wherever they can rent out a hotel's conference hall and stuff like that. Then at the turn of the century, late 90s going on the 21st century, leagues popped up again. Now this is where everything now is getting that like reboot. And then you had CPL, Cyber Professional League, and then you had World Cyber Games, and leagues of that was all formed for PC gaming. Everyone's playing Quake to what's the name of this thing? Counter-Strike, Unreal, and stuff like that. Teams was formed. One of the oldest active teams to this day is SK Gaming. Before them, that was the U.S. National Video Game Team. They were the first. They were the absolute first. And you can wiki the U.S. National Video Game Team, and you'll find out a lot about them. And then Empire Arcadia, we were a community, so we were always following this, but we weren't an organization yet. And in 2002, I was like, something? I want to make my own team based on all the friends that I had in my community that we compete and played. And I was like, we formed Empire Arcadia. So we're pretty old ourselves, We put a good 11 to 12 years into this. And then, then in the middle of 2000, it's like 2000 to 2009, you had the mixed era. You had the arcades, but the arcades were dying, but you still had the arcades leading up to the consoles. So you had everything from Marvel vs. Capcom to Street Fighter Third Strike until they went on to the consoles. Then you had Smash Brothers Melee and Smash Brothers Brawl and all of that stuff. And everything, you had your leagues, you had your MLG, and then you had your Evo. Those were like the two big names in competitive gaming running in that time between 2000 to 2009 for console and arcades. And then now from 2009 to where we are now, you have ESL, you have DreamHack, you have MLG, you have MBG, you have Evo, and possibly Nintendo entering, which is a mix of consoles and PC and even handheld gaming. So when you read, it's like 6 whole generations of the evolution of esports. And for all you young guys out there, since you're on the internet all the time, Google these stuff, man. Run back on Level and Live podcasts and go through these notes and look it up, and you'll see that the competitive gaming scene has a rich history. And Nintendo falling out of it or pulling out of it back then is simply because they had to accommodate to the times. And I think that they may be ready to return because there's a huge demand for it in today's time.
Okay. Okay, well, going with that, how far do you see Nintendo going with, competitive gaming and the possibility of entering back into esports? Like, this invitational with Smash Bros. Being at E3, making it a centerpiece of their whole E3 presentation. It speaks volumes because, they're paying so much attention and putting so much resources into it with, inviting the top 16, supposedly trying to get the top 16 players, in competitive, Smash Bros, gaming. How far do you think they're going to go with it, and who do you think, I guess it's two questions. Who do you think is the top 16 players?
Okay, so this is we're gonna have to answer this in like pieces. All right,
Okay.
we'll start with, in my opinion, honestly, because Nintendo has always supported the competitive gaming scene. Um, I think this is a prelude to the World Championships, honestly. When will those World Championships be? It may be as early as 2015, or we may see Nintendo make that huge hit in 2016. Or it could even be at the end of this year. It could be right after E3. We don't know. But I honestly believe that they're going to get back into it, especially when they allowed Evolution to use their games, especially when they're allowing the community to use their games to have Smash Brothers to host big competitions, and they let Evo use the games, MVG, and all these different, circuits and leagues. They're allowing them to use their games. Obviously, everyone's going to have to follow under, the policies and the rules and regulations for Nintendo. But the fact that they're allowing those to happen, and then them themselves are hosting an invitation, the invitation has to be a prelude to something big. It can't just be, oh, this is just an invitation and that's it. Not with what they know now about competitive gaming. Nintendo had a national championships for Smash Brothers Melee back in 2005. The nationals took place at the Rockefeller Plaza at Nintendo World. Was like Battle at the Rock. And one of our players, Wes, he's the manager of our Smash Brothers division, Deadly Alliance, representing our team Empire Arcadia at the tournament and won the nationals. In 2006, PC Chris, there were the MLG Nationals for Smash Brothers. He won the Smash Brothers Nationals at MLG. In 2008, Nintendo came back with a Nationals for Smash Brothers Brawl. They had I think 4 or 5 cities all qualified, 256 man each city, and then it came down to the final 256 in New York for the Nationals, where another one of our players, Dyer, he took second place. He lost to Korean DJ. And okay. So they've always been involved, but I think that this time it's different. Now that they know they really understand what's going on, especially after last year's incident, they really want to pay more attention to this because of their focus to recognizing the Western gamers' love for competition. That this is too big of a market for Nintendo to just ignore, honestly. And
so basically, they starting to understand that the Western market is very into competitive gaming. So I'm taking it that they didn't realize how big that was over here.
They had an ideal, but not to the level where people are making it careers.
Okay.
So and that's the thing. They know everyone loves competition, but you have to ask yourself a question. Do you think Nintendo really know that people love competition so much that they're becoming cyber athletes? They're professional gamers who are living off of this. Do you really think Nintendo knew that?
Nah,
honestly, they didn't.
I didn't know that.
I see. There you go. And guess what? The world still doesn't know. Despite all the views Twitch TV's getting, and everyone doesn't understand competitive gaming. It's not as large as you think it is. It's definitely way bigger than what it used to be, yes. But in the grand scheme of things, 7 billion people on the planet, it's not there yet. It has ways to go, but we are definitely on a great track. And I think Nintendo has come across that information, and they're now recognizing it. And so for them, they're like, okay, so how does Nintendo fit into this? That's where they are right now. How do they see themselves fitting into this? And Nintendo's asking the key questions and gathering the key information to see how they can fit into this, if this is for them. And I'm confident Nintendo is going to find the right answer, and we're all going to be happy. Now, going to that's question one.
Right.
To your second question now, in terms of the invitational, who I think they're going to invite, Honestly, I don't know who they're gonna invite. I'm gonna keep it real. I would when I know something, I usually leave hints so everyone can be running up and down. It's like trolling hints. But honestly speaking, I actually do not know. I wrote a list and I submitted it to them. And I told them can they please take the list under heavy consideration, because if they're going to invite 16 of the highly skilled players out there, then it's very important for them to bring out the best that they possibly can. Does that mean bring out every single top player? Honestly speaking, let's be realistic here. There are a lot of top players in Smash Brothers across all the different versions of the game. And it's not like they're inviting the top 16 Smash Brothers players for Melee. They're not. This is the top 16 highly skilled Smash Brothers players, Smash Brothers, because this invitation is about the new Smash Brothers game. It's not any one particular one. So for Nintendo, it would be wise to kind of invite some of the notable people. Mix it up. It's 16 people. Get a couple of pros, right? Get a couple of legends. Get a couple of influential social media figures who play the game, and then get a bunch of novices. You see that gets everybody. Everybody gets a little pick here and there. It's not just one particular set of people. In honesty, it would be unfair, and I didn't notice that until after I submitted the list. And I don't want to say how many people I submitted. I'll just give a couple of names, just to give an ideal or two. But I did submit, who did I submit? Obviously, I submitted guys from my team. I put in Mewtwo King.
Of course.
I put in Armada. From a pro standpoint, who else did I put in from a pro? I put in Mango, Hungry Box, Dr. PP. There's a lot of guys that I've put. And then I even went in some of the legends, bring back some of the old school guys that kind of made this, what it is when they were competing hardcore back in the days. There was, obviously Sephiroth Ken, obviously PC Chris, Chillin' Dude, Isaiah, and a bunch of guys.
These cats you naming right now are competitors that are not a part of Empire Arcadia, right?
Oh yeah, those other guys. Wes, Armada, and Mewtwo King are all in EMP.
Okay.
And the other guys that I mentioned, they're not. They're in different teams and communities and stuff like that.
Well,
but it was a whole list. I see. You know why I came up with the list? How I came up with the list? I kind of used the Smash Brothers documentary that they had put out as a cornerstone to create the list.
Okay.
But what I really hope is that Nintendo looks into the other gamers as well, because this coming out of the gate, this is gonna need all the help it can get, and the legends and the pros alone cannot do it. One of the key elements in this invitation is because they said they're gonna have special announcers and then casters. Who is gonna cast this event? Who's going to be the one that's going to commentate this event and represent this event at the highest level of that it needs to be, where it represents not only the community but Nintendo properly. And the only two people I can think of is D1 and Prague.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this on that tip, because we talked about this last in part one, but we didn't get a positive, answer because you weren't for sure yet. Are you going to E3?
Oh yes, that's a done deal. I'm going.
Okay.
That is a done deal. That is happening. There's nothing to discuss about that one.
All right. Well, let me ask you this. You were just saying who would be the best candidates, or they gonna probably need two people to, I guess, MC. And I know of course, you're gonna be humble and not say you, but I would say, man, just being honest and true, I would think you would be a great MC.
I would disagree, and I'll explain to you why.
Okay.
Because of my involvement in the Nintendo community over the years, I play a better role as a community ambassador. A lot of people have known me as like the community ambassador, the community manager for Nintendo. It's unofficial, it's not official, but I play that role better. So my invitation to this to E3 this year by Nintendo is to play in that role, to because of my vast knowledge and experience in the community and the industry, to pretty much, shed the positive, great insight on Nintendo, its legacy, its history, and all the people involved. That's the role I play. So, in terms of the media that's going to be there, who I'm going to interact, that's the role I'll most likely play. That's the best role that fits for me. In terms of casting, no, because I've stopped playing Smash Brothers since Brawl after the Nationals. I got like top 8 at the Nationals. And since then, I've been playing other games, and I haven't been in the scene competitively. So it wouldn't be fair. Guys like D1 and Prague have been at this for the last 2 years now, and they have greater insight on the game, than I do. So they fit that position best. Plus, believe it or not, I'm a fan of the guys, so I like watching them talk about it.
Right. Well, I commend you, man, of what you just said, because most don't know that you don't work for Nintendo. Most of what you do is pretty much out of the kindness of your heart and just being a passionate gamer and Nintendo fan. Some people get it twisted and think that Nintendo might pay you or got some huge tie with Nintendo, but talking to you and even testimonials off, not recorded, man, you do this out of the kindness of your heart. So I commend you. And then to be humble enough to admit that maybe they'd be better than you are, that to me, that show a lot of character. So, man, I just commended you. I ain't want to jump in and cut you off. But yeah, I just wanted to say that.
But they are better than me. That's a fact. I don't think I was being modest. I just think I was being honest. They are better than me, and they would, like I said, I love seeing them work. I last saw D1 and Prague on MLG, and D1 was at where was D1? He was at UGC. It was like in Illinois, and I was watching him cast, and because I know him since he was a kid. When we went up to Canada and MTV and we did the big Smash Brothers, there was a huge Smash Brothers tournament in Canada called T6, and I brought MTV up to Canada when we did our reality miniseries with the team, and I watched him. In fact, there's a clip of him in the MTV show, and they show you him playing, and I watched him as a kid play the game and grow up and mature to be the player and caster that he is right now. So it's like I want to see more and better for him. Me stepping in, that's selfish. It's just pure selfishness. And no, I'm not that type of person. I want to see him, shine. So him in Prague was the best suited for that. I'm content just being there, witnessing and experiencing the event. That's the best for me. So, that's it. So I hope Nintendo, does pick them, because I don't know any other caster that is at their level, honestly speaking. So we'll see how that works out. But hopefully they take the list into consideration. Hopefully, if they even listen to this podcast, that they take D1 and Prague into consideration, and let's see what they do. But I'm confident Nintendo it will do it right.
Okay.
Honestly speaking.
Well, let me ask you this. You know what I'm saying? We just transition along, kind of remembering some of the places we went when the last recording didn't work. Since this is a competition, with this invitation, it will be competitive gaming going on. We don't know how serious the competitive nature of this invitational Smash Bros at E3 is, but then Triforce Johnson and the ambassador and CEO of Empire Arcadia, how important is it for you guys to win this tournament, or is it important at all?
All right. Straight from the gut, honestly, it's not important for us to win. Because first of all, and if we knew, if it was like, if Nintendo's invitation was like, okay, we're going to invite the greatest, the best esports players there are, the best competitors in the world in Smash Brothers Melee. Because you have to remember, this is going to be the first time the public gets to play the game in a competitive realm. The game does not exist already or currently or in the past in a competitive capacity. It doesn't. This is an invitational. So to create this expectation that first of all, we're going to be invited. Well, I'm going, but not in a competitive capacity. I'm going in a different capacity. So, but to make the assumption that my players are going to be invited, and then once we get past that they have to win is kind of premature. There's no need for it. It's an invitational. What the most important thing of this entire event is to have fun and make it as exciting as possible. That is the most important, because that sets the tone for the game in its competitive realm for the future. So that is the goal. Us going there, having a great time, and just, pushing the game. Whoever gets invited gets invited. Who doesn't, let's say we don't get invited. If EMP doesn't get invited, that's not going to stop me from not promoting the game and pushing it out there from an ambassador standpoint. It's not. I'm going to do that no matter what.
Okay.
But if we do get invited, it's not important to win. It's an invitational. It's not important to win. And what's important is to compete and have fun doing it. That's the whole point. Being invited, period, is enough. You've already won if you're a competitor being invited. So if they invited Mango, he's already won. Not the competition, but the fact that Nintendo recognized him as a competitor to invite him to begin with. That's good enough for him. If he wins, loses, not important. Everyone will remember that he was invited. Yeah, the person who wins the event, everyone's going to say, oh, wow, this guy won the first Smash Brothers Invitational. We get it. But to be very honest with you, it won't have as much of an impact when the other leagues and circuits set it as a standard now. Because here's an example. This is the best example I can get. Let's say they invite Sephiroth Ken. He goes there, he competes. There's probably like 4 other pros and then a bunch of other regular people. And they all fight it out. Ken wins the invitational. A year later, Nintendo has the first world championship since 1990. Comes back, and then Armada wins the world championship. Do you really think anyone will care about the invitational anymore?
Right.
No one's gonna care. Everyone's gonna be like, "That's great, you won the invitational," but like, who won the? In fact, so funny. This happened in other games. Mortal Kombat. In Mortal Kombat, Justin Wong won the the nationals for Mortal Kombat. When it came out, the company PDP put together a $10,000 national championship for Mortal Kombat, and Justin Wong won that. But then later on in that year, at Evolution in the World Championships, our ex-member, Perfect Legend, he was an EMP member at the time, won the World Championships, and then won it again the following year. So he won back-to-back. So no one really cares about who won the nationals. Same thing for Injustice. When Injustice came out, they had an Injustice Nationals. I forgot who even won it. See what I'm talking about? I don't remember who won the Injustice Nationals. But then our player, KDZ, won EVO last year for Injustice. No one remembers who wins the Nationals. Same thing for Killer Instinct. Killer Instinct, Justin won the Nationals, but there's going to be Killer Instinct at EVO this year. So it's really about who wins the World Championships. It's not so important who wins the Nationals. Don't get me wrong. I'm not discrediting it. It's important. But in the grand scheme of things, it won't be.
Okay.
It'll be so for right now. So because of that, what's important is to have fun, make this exciting, and share the experience.
Right. Well, thinking about listening to what you're saying and how it might not be, I'm thinking, the fact that they're playing the new version, the new entry into Smash Bros. I'm pretty sure some of the mechanics, some of the features as far as move sets and all that is going to be a little bit different from what a lot of these guys are used to, because I'm pretty sure Nintendo will tweak some things, change some things, remove some things, add in some things we don't know yet. So to say that it's going to be, I'm pretty sure people playing against each other, they're going to, at some point, they might want to win because we are competitive. We don't just want to lose, but at the end of the day, I think that the playing field will be leveled because there'll probably be so many move sets a little bit differently tweaked from previous Smash Bros. What do you think about that?
Well, when it comes to this in this particular field, I don't like to comment on it because I respect Sakurai. When it comes to what they've done, to change the engine of the game, upgrade, modify, tweak, nerf, normalize, whatever terms everyone wants to use. This I leave in his hands. It is unfair. You know what this is like? We're not artists. None of us are. But we want to critique an artist who has given us 3 great iterations of the art already. But we want to tell him where he messed up. That's an insult. That is completely disrespectful. We can compare between the 3 versions, 64, Melee, and Brawl, which one of his art is the best, which everyone agrees that Smash Bros. Melee is the best version he's made. But to sit here and critique Sakurai on his work, on what he should do or what he can do, is, in my opinion, disrespectful. That is one place I definitely agree with him 100% on it. Sakurai can take into considerations of the community on what he can do to help better the game, and that is it. He takes into consideration. You have to allow him the space and the freedom to create. He's an artist. That's his job. That you can't bombard him with what you want, because it's not about you. It's his game.
Right.
He's making it. He has to express it the way he wants to express it, that he thinks we're going to enjoy it. And then when we get it, we determine whether or not we like it. And that's just how it is. It really requires a certain maturity level to understand that. And unfortunately, hardcore gamers, and I'm insulting myself in this particular thing, because I'm a hardcore gamer as well. Hardcore gamers are kind of belligerent. They kind of run over that, like they feel this entitlement, like it has to be their way. And guys, come on, guys. Look, I'm a hardcore gamer just like you guys as well. I want this to be a great game, but cut Nintendo some slack. Let them do what they do. Everyone goes Brawl was a terrible game. No, it wasn't. Brawl is actually the most Soul Smash Brothers game there is. So how could it be that terrible? The game may not have been as good as Melee because they added some things that we probably didn't like in it, but it was still a good game. Okay. I believe, though, that, I trust and I'm confident that in Sakurai's consideration to the competitive scene, that he has made certain adjustments so that it not only can appease his freedom to, portray his, express his art, but then also give to the hardcore community as well. So I guess we're all going to be happy this time. Everyone can stop complaining. Right.
Well, let me. I got a few more questions here before we get out of here. Mm-hmm. This was going to lead into another question, but I don't want to throw 2 out at the same time like I did before. Since you are into the esports scene and kind of the turnings behind the scene, how the community is active and how the gears are turning, what is the excitement around this? How is different teams, how is Empire Arcadia and all the rest looking at this invitation? Or is this really getting the morale up? Are people getting excited? I know before we recorded, you was talking about how people was picking up new team members and all that. So really kind of share a little light on how excited a lot of the competitors are about this invitational.
All right, the first thing we got to do, as usual, Triforce is going to take everyone a storyline. We're going to go a timeless. We're going to take a little timeline, a trip. And when Smash Brothers Melee first came out, and our team was already formed already. Well, actually, our team was formed after Smash Brothers Melee came out. But when Smash Brothers Melee dropped, we really wanted to push competitive gaming, and we definitely wanted to push Smash Brothers. This is why when we met up with a group, there was this little community group called Deadly Alliance, and before Deadly Alliance, it was myself at the time, Justin, Kraymore, Dominion, Sanford, Geron. Yeah, those are all the people in EMP that played Smash Brothers 64 and Melee, and we actually used to play hardcore. We thought we were great until we ran into DA, and then guys like Wes, Kubu, Dyer, Rafi, GA West, PC Chris, those guys really showed us what good was. And we was like, oh. And we told them that, why don't they join Empire Arcadia? This was like 2005. And they were like, oh, what was the goal? And we told them we're a development organization that has an esports team. So if we want to see Smash Brothers really get big, I think we should work together. And I said, this way I can, we don't have to use our other players who are playing games like Street Fighter, Third Strike, CBS2 and Marvel to be playing Smash Brothers. It's too many games for one individual player or any small group to do. So if they could be the Smash division for Empire Arcadia, that would be great. So they agreed. And Deadly Alliance, the Deadly Alliance group joined EMP, and they've been representing EMP since 2005, and throughout that time. So since that time, as I stated earlier in this podcast, that one of the things we did, MTV wanted to do a reality miniseries on just me, Triforce the gamer. They had this thing called MTV's Obsessed. They wanted to show how much I was an obsessed gamer into Nintendo, and I told them that them doing a show just on me, I think would be corny. That was me, because I was like, I was kind of embarrassed that if they just did a show with some guy wearing a Power Glove and collecting a whole bunch of Nintendo games and stuff like that, we'd be seen as I would be seen as just ultra geeks. So this is kind of me what I'm about to say. I said, well, listen, if I'm going to be showing off as a geek and some type of nerd, I want everybody to be in it with me. I don't want to be alone in this.
Right.
So I told them, I think it would be better if they focused on my team. If they want to use me as a focal point, fine. But let's do this whole thing with competitive gaming. And Smash Brothers was one of the main things. And a member, I specifically didn't mention this member in the group, but there's a main guy in our Smash Brothers group. His name was Compton, and MTV fell in love with him because this guy was so what's the word for it? He was so eccentric, very passionate Smash Brothers player, and he was in there. In fact, if you go on MTV's website and type in, actually you could just Google Empire Arcadia on MTV, it'll pop up, and you'll see who Compton is in. He's crazy. But you could admire his passion, his love for the game, and how he loved the competition. And he represented us big time in the Smash Brothers scene. And those were the initiatives that we used to push competitive gaming. So we were in MLG, we went to VG Expo, everywhere at Smash Brothers, we were in there. This is long before this new version of the Smash Brothers community existed. Now, when they look at what's happening with Nintendo and Smash Brothers and competitive gaming over the years because of MLG and all these other entities, now these other teams is like, wait a minute. I think something's going to happen here with Smash Brothers, and they want to help. They want to put their part in now and chip in. So you have all of these esport recognizable teams like EMP picking up actual players. And I'm not talking about sponsors. And people have to understand the difference between sponsors. You guys have to understand a video game team and a sponsor is two different things. Video game teams don't sponsor players. Video game teams either put players on salary or they have some type of arrangement or agreement between the player to compensate the player for their time there, whether it may be covering hotel and transportation for tournaments, management and development. That's what teams do. A sponsor is someone like, let's get an example here, Coke. Coke could go up to a team like Cloud9 and say, okay, we noticed you have a player like Mango, who's a top player in Smash Brothers, and he's going to be playing the old and the new Smash Brothers, and he gets a lot of views. He has a huge following, and we want to promote our product. We want to associate our product with that particular player and whatnot. So the sponsor will give money to the team because the team is managing the player. The team takes its cut because it did its job in terms of managing the player, and then it gives a portion of that sponsorship to the player. Then the sponsor associates their brand on the player's jersey or team. This is no different from sports. This happens in baseball, basketball, NASCAR. Oh, definitely NASCAR. Like, come on, look at Jeff Gordon's jacket. It has every company under the sun on it. But those are all the sponsors. But the team he's on is Jeff Gordon's team and the particular car he's associated with. So that's the same thing for like all these esports teams. So like Cloud9 picked up Mango. Evil Genius got Dr. PP. Curse has Hungry Box and Chillin'. Team Liquid has Ken and Korean DJ. Empire Arcadia has Mewtwo King and Armada. And you're going to see a bunch of other teams come out and start picking up. First of all, you still have Fnatic left. You still have Complexity left. You have all these different teams that's going to come out of nowhere and start picking up, Smash Brothers players. And this is a good thing. This is something that needs to happen. What these teams are doing by following suit with what EMP has done in terms of pushing Smash Brothers with the players professionally is that they legitimize the integrity of the competition. They legitimize this. Everyone now gets to see how real this is as an actual competitive scene. This is how every sport starts. This is how even when skateboard was like, skateboarding, what? And guess what? It went to the X Games, and now it's an official sport. Boxing, basketball, baseball, world football, the NFL, hockey, golf, you name it. That's how it all starts. And what we are witnessing here is the fundamental elements all coming together to finally form the matrix of esports.
Okay. Well, with that question, I wanted to piggyback into this one. Mm-hmm. With the behind the scenes, things seem to be really picking up, heating up, and people really getting their teams, prepared and ready to go to this invitational. If this invitational is a success, as we believe it will be, how would this impact Nintendo as a company? And what I mean is, we all know that with the Wii U, Nintendo is, struggling a little bit not a little bit, they struggling with the Wii U. And then we hoping that, with Smash Bros. And Mario Kart 8 coming out, situation's finna turn around. So, but the reason I'm asking this question because, sometimes, these are the type of individuals who cause, movement. Yourself, people like Mewtwo and other people on the Empire Arcadia, and also dudes on the other competitive teams, when they start to kind of get behind and start to promote and start to push and start to morale and kick dust up and make things get excited, the industry moves in that way. And with Nintendo doing this, if it's successful, how well do you think how big of an impact would this be on the company as a whole?
Well, if Nintendo, and I'm very confident that they will, when Nintendo sets this off, first of all, Nintendo actually had made a preemptive move long before they even announced the E3 Invitational. Nintendo already gave MLG the go-ahead to use their game Melee in their competition, so it's back in MLG. They've also granted Evo the rights to use the game this year again. And as I said, I mentioned this earlier in the podcast, that you have a bunch of other community and circuits and leagues that are playing the game and using the game. When you have that, and you make that move, and then you do the invitational, these leagues, guys like MVG, Most Valuable Gaming, MLG, Major League Gaming, Evo, DreamHack, Roth, and all these other big scenes, CEO. When they're doing that, this sets the precedence. Nintendo actually doesn't have to do anything anymore. All they have to do is launch the game now. There is a sweeping indignation to push competitive gaming to the next level. All Nintendo has to do is give it the thumbs up, and it is gone. The only reason why it hasn't run out of the gate is because no one wants to run out of the gate with it without Nintendo's blessings. Okay. So the fact that everyone's waiting on Nintendo to do this, Nintendo is in a pretty much in the big driver's seat right now. They're gonna make some serious things happen with this game. And in terms of the sales, to answer your question directly, man, listen, Mario Kart 8 dropped in its bundle. If you ever notice, I will say this, because I don't know if anyone is even noticing how intelligent Nintendo is. The Wii U is the most bundled console system in the history of consoles. The Wii U sells on its own, but how many bundles have we seen so far since the launch of the Wii U? I think we're up into like our 6th version. It's only 2 years. It's all bundles. You have the Mario Wii U bundle. I think there was a Zombie U bundle. Yeah,
Zombie U, Zelda HD bundle.
There's a Mario Kart bundle now. There's a Monster Hunter bundle.
Nintendo Land.
There's a Nintendo Land bundle. There's been several bundles. No, was there a Pikmin bundle?
No, it wasn't.
There wasn't a Pikmin bundle. But these guys have been bundling it, and I'm sorry, we all know there's going to be a Zelda bundle. We all know there's going to be a Smash Brothers bundle. That is guaranteed. Like, Nintendo doesn't put a Smash Brothers bundle, someone in marketing needs to be fired. That has to happen immediately. So in terms of like, you ever watch that Mega 64 video when the guy took over Reggie's body? Well, the robot Reggie. Remember that?
Mega 64.
Remember that the lady in accounting, and she was talking to Reggie, and she's like, "Well, maybe you should." And the I-beam shot, and that's what's gonna happen to the person that does not get Smash Brothers bundle. It's going to get zapped and explode. But with that happening, Nintendo's back on point. And like I said, the Nintendo Wii U is the Super Nintendo of this generation. Just like the Super Nintendo back then, it started off slow. Started with Mario coming out of the gate. It was good for a little bit, then fell off a little bit, started off slow, didn't really get a lot of third-party support, and then Nintendo was like, listen, these people is playing games with us, Link to the Past, Super Metroid, F-Zero, Mario Kart, and then it just went bananas. They just started, and that's what's going to happen. We're going to see a Super Nintendo repeat. And then everyone's going to say, Triforce, how you knew this? And I'm just going to say to them, history always repeats itself.
Okay. Well, okay, we getting down. We kind of covered a lot of what we covered in the other one. So let me ask you this. Nintendo just had a press conference, or I don't know how would you put where they released the numbers and sales figures and all that. But, of course, people ran with the negative portion. But they said some interesting things. They're really finna push the near-field communication technology within the Wii U. And they also made a piece of hardware that is going to be compatible and work with the 3DS to make it have the same functionality to be able to have figurines to, maybe change aspects of the game. Now, with that being said, they did say they're working on a game that is strictly for this, but it won't just be tied to that particular game. Seeming that a couple of other games are going to come into play. So my question is, how do you see near-field communication playing into Super Smash Bros, and all that, and you can answer it however you choose.
Honestly, this one is a tough question because I don't know too much. Nintendo hasn't released enough information on the near field communication adapter that they're coming out with. I don't have an idea as to what's the goal, where they're coming out with it. Yeah, we know the figurines, but that's like no different from collecting the statues in Smash Brothers, so to speak. So you collect them. So how does this work? What is the end goal? Is there a way that they're trying to unify this with all of the their games? Like, okay, if you have a bunch of Nintendo games, they're sending down downloadable characters or figurines and stuff like that, which you can mix and match and collect. Is this a part of a huge collecting process of games where you can get rewards that go back to the Nintendo Clubhouse that you can like? There's so many. I tell you one thing, it opens the doors to a vast amount of different things that's going to that Nintendo can possibly do. But as to anything concrete, right now, I don't know enough about it, and I haven't looked into. I'm going to keep it real. I haven't looked into it because with a potential Zelda Zelda's coming out. We already know that.
Right.
But with a potential Metroid, a potential Star Fox, a potential F-Zero, with the games like that on the potential horizon, along with Mario Kart 8, along with Smash Brothers, along with the Tamagotchi game, like I don't. There's so much stuff going out. I think everyone's heads are going to explode at E3. You can't even you can't cover it all. And so we'll have to wait. Perhaps at E3 they will unveil some more information and give a more direct focus on what the NFC is going to do. And then I'll be able. That'll be another level in life, and I'll be able to answer that directly.
Well, I was thinking like it was something you said the other day when we talked about this particular subject. And you kind of mentioned it again. You was talking about the trophies in Smash and how, what if Nintendo, with this in near field communication, made figurines out of those trophies. And when you buy those trophies does and manipulate certain aspects to your favor if you have these trophies. That'd be pretty cool too.
You know what I would do if I was Nintendo on the 3DS, right? That they would. Well, it depends on how much storage space. Well, it's a good thing about 3DS is that you can just buy like the flash cards that have like more memory. But what if they have a Nintendo figurine museum, and throughout all the different Nintendo games that there are on not only on the 3DS but on the Wii U, you can use the NFC to save these figurines and put them in your portable Nintendo museum, or even at your LAN Nintendo museum on your Wii U or your 3DS, and you can have all these things as a little brief history. That's what Smash Brothers and Brawl was. Well, actually, all the Smash Brothers were like that, but that was just that's so cool about them. They did this even in Wind Waker. I don't think people remember that there was like you had your own little museum of different stuff that was in the game. So, but what if Nintendo's looking to expand this? There are certain figurines you can only get in the Pokemon games. If they even have one for the Wii U and the one for the 3DS, there's different figurines you can get in the Metroid game, the Star Fox game, the Pikmin game, the F-Zero game, the Fire Emblem game, and the Punch-Out game, and all these different games you go through and you collect all these different figurines, and then they can amount to something. Because from a business standpoint, I look at it like this. If people are buying all my games like this and they're collecting all the figurines and stuff like that, why not give them a $5 return on it if they collect a certain amount of figurines after a time? It probably may take 10 games to get it may take 10 games to get 500 figurines or something like that, or 1,000 figurines. That probably equals to a rebate bonus of buying one $60 game for the Nintendo Wii U. You don't know. Like, so many things you can do, and this will grant purpose and a goal to collecting all of these things. Well, like I said, it opens up so many things.
Right. Well, when you look at, what is it, Skylanders, is that Activision? Then you got Disney with Infinity. Could you imagine if Nintendo got so many IPs and so many cherished IPs? It would literally, to me, it would trump.
It would definitely trump them. See, the thing is with Nintendo, this is the best part of Nintendo, right? Not only is it, I'm sorry, not only is it, how can I explain this? Not only do their intellectual property, not only are their intellectual properties so vast, within the world of each of those intellectual properties, there are timeless characters, images, things that you can recognize, that you see in the games. You go, oh, I remember that in that game, blah, 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 blah. So we're talking about thousands.
Yeah, that's IPs within IPs. So yeah, you're right, man. There's so many co-characters and co-stars within games that are just as beloved and cherished as the star and the main person in the game. So yeah, I'm very curious of what this game is. We don't know yet. Nintendo is real close kept with that, but looks like they're doing some big things and have some big things in store for E3. Okay, we getting down to the nitty gritty, man. This is the last question, and I'm only asking this, and I know you don't care for answering these type of questions, but just being faithful to the fan base and my subscribers, they want to know, what do you think, Retro Studios is working on? Now, we talked about Zelda, and, you kind of alluded that you just want to sit back and just wait and see and be mesmerized when we all see it. But just for entertainment's sake, what do you think Retro is planning and what they're going to bring? Do you think it's going to be a familiar IP that we all know that they worked on before, or do you feel like it's going to be a new IP or another franchise of Nintendo's?
So let me see. In terms of their franchise, like I said, I kind of named some of the stuff that I actually would hope to. At this E3, I'm hoping to see, like, my top three would be a Metroid, a Zelda, and a Star Fox of some sort. Retro Studios creating an IP, I don't know what it is. I'm hoping it's a Metroid. So that the whole Retro Studio coming out with the game gives me a little hint that there may be something on the horizon for for Metroid, but it does say new IP, so it probably isn't. But I still would like to see a Metroid. I would still like to see a Star Fox, and I definitely would like to see a Zelda. So we'd have to see what that is. What Retro Studios is making, I have no idea. And to be honest with you, you have your Mario Kart 8, you have your Smash Brothers, and then you have all the other games that they're possibly going to go have there that they've already mentioned. So we're going to have our hands full. This is exactly why I said I don't want to expect too much. I just want to be surprised so I could take it all in when it happens. Because when you have too many things that you're anticipating for, you'll blow a gasket. It's just too much to go over. So, yeah.
Okay, that's straight. All right, well, that was my last question. I didn't have anything else. Shout out to John Shaw. Sorry, the recording we did yesterday didn't work out. But like I said, me and Triforce, we did what we had to do today, and I think this is very educational and very informative and very insightful on what's going on behind the scenes with Nintendo and what all the moves with this invitational is really doing and all the things it's causing to happen. And the interest in Smash Bros. Might lead to interest in the Wii U and might lead to a boost in sales. And it ain't no might, I'm just saying might because it ain't happened yet. But when it happened, y'all can come back and look at this date and say, hey, Level said that and Triforce said that. So anyway, with that being said, man, you got any final notes you want to pass out, or is that it?
Oh, no, definitely. That's pretty much it. As we near E3, hopefully I'll probably be on one more time before I head out to E3. If any new developments come on, I'd like to come back on and share those developments with you. But
okay.
Outside of that, let me give my shout outs. First and foremost, I want to give a shout out to the team, Empire Arcadia. Last time I mentioned a couple of names, I forgot a couple of people that got mad. So I'll just say Team Empire Arcadia. Everybody who's in EMP, shout out to all you guys. Thank you guys for, remaining, focused to the goal of the organization and helping me, push it to the next level. We have we've come a long way, but we have a longer way to go. Definitely want to thank my management organization. This is Lofton Global Management and, Rothwin Media. Thank you guys for helping me, get through some tough times and helping us, as a team to, restructure the organization and its image. Definitely, we've worked on a lot and we have a lot more to go. So I look forward to that. Definitely thank you to Nintendo for the support. Thank you guys for the, invite me out to E3 once more. Once again, Nintendo's always been super, to its fans and its supporters. And I look forward to coming out there and sharing back what the type of help Nintendo's always put me through and support. Definitely want to give a shout out to the sponsors, Guinness, for supporting us. Twin Galaxies, thank you Twin Galaxies for helping me get to France. I never got a chance to thank them, so I want to definitely do that right now. Thank you Twin Galaxies, Jace Hall, you the man, Walter Day, Billy Mitchell, Todd Rogers, and all the guys back in the U.S. And last but not, well, actually I'll leave you for last. But And I want to thank I had this on the top of my head and I forgot it. Oh my goodness. I'm going to feel bad later on. But pretty much I want to thank the Nintendo community and the Smash community and everybody who's helped to make things and push things forward in the competition. It's been 10 plus years. You guys have been working hard. Definitely want to give thanks for MLG because MLG was the only league to push Smash, and they were there when no one else wanted to accept it because they thought Smash was a kiddie games. So shout out to Sundance, shout out to Adam, shout out to Sepso. You guys rock. Thanks for helping the scene out, and we definitely be at MLG for sure. And then definitely thanks, Level, and for having me back on, man. I really appreciate it, man. You always give me a platform to put out a lot of information for the community to take note to. So I really appreciate it,
man. Nintendo doesn't get enough promotion and enough attention, and have someone with your knowledge and depth promoting and championing Nintendo is just, I feel like it's needed and it's beautiful. So I have you on as much as I can, and as much as you're available, I have you on here because, the fan base and the subscribers like hearing your insight, like hearing your knowledge and your take, and they are passionate about hearing you. They hit me up on Twitter and on YouTube, asking me to make sure I have you back, and they want other people to come on. I'm gonna try to work that out, but I want to send a shout out to my boy Mr. LLive08. Couldn't make it because we did this at a different time and he's not available at these times. Also send a shout out to my partner KBomb20 and STFUandplay.com with Torrance Davis. Big things happening over there. So y'all stay tuned for that. Shout out to John Shaw. Couldn't make it back today, but we'll have him back in the future. And to the community, all you Nintendo fans and Sony fans and Microsoft fans, because it's not just Nintendo fans listen to Live and Level. All you guys listen in because y'all like hearing Triforce. And a shout out to you, bro, for coming on and doing your thing and doing it so excellent as you always do. It's just a privilege to be on here with you, sharing some of your time with us. And with that being said, man, I want y'all to continue to continue to sub, and continue to comment in the comment section. I will have Triforce's article with Nintendo Life in the description, so you can go and read that. It's a pretty in-depth article. So when you read it, make sure you got some time because it's not a small article. It's really in depth. It's really pretty cool read. So check that out. And like I said, this is your boy Live, Leveled, Triforce, signing out. Deuces.
Peace.